And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been watching, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I'm
hmm
Terry.
I'm
I
Mary
had to look at what I was talking about, too.
Beth. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. I'm Mary Beth, and this week we are talking about Dungeons and Dragons, the newest Belmont saga, Drag Queens and Dungeons. I'm very excited to talk about that. Hot Samurai Revenge, and then we ask you to please defwink responsibly. Wow. First up though, guys, guess what? I made a goddamn movie, and
You
that
sure as fuck
movie
did.
is on VOD. It's called Bystanders, and it would mean a whole lot if y'all would go watch it. Hopefully, as of this episode, it's up in more places, but right as of recording this episode, I know that it is on Apple TV. So
Hmm.
if you could
That's
watch
where I
it,
bought it.
yay! If you could watch it, give it a rating wherever you would like to give it a rating. That would be awesome. Some of you have posted about it and really liked it, and I really appreciate it, and it's been really awesome, and all of the words of encouragement have been really sweet, and I love all of you for watching it and telling me you watched it and loving it for what it is. Like, I know it's an indie movie, I know it's not perfect, but I love that everyone seems to understand that and is like respecting it for what it's trying to do with such limited budget, and I just love that we live in that world right now. And I love to have a cool community like y'all. It's just like I was telling
Yes.
Terry offline. The community support has just been like phenomenal. So, yeah. Yeah, you know how to make a girl feel good about herself, which is hard for this little weirdo over here, but yeah. So, I had to gush at the top of the show.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited that it's out finally. It's been. When did you film it? Was it in
2023
23?
in the
Okay.
summer.
In the summer. I knew it was the summer, but I'll tell you, the last 2 years have been a blur for me. And I was like, I think it was 23, but it could have been 24, and I could have just been
Yeah, no, I
off my
know. I
rocker.
couldn't. No, 24 was just post production and that
That's what I
hell.
thought. Yeah,
But yeah, it's out. It's no longer just sitting in my head and on a computer. It's out in the world. Neat.
that's so cool. That's so cool.
So yeah, but let's talk about other people's movies and TV shows. What about
Yes.
Dungeons? What Dragons and Dungeons? Oh, not Dungeons and Dragons, Dragons and Dungeons. I think I misread that at the beginning because I just wanted to see what my mind was thinking. But tell me about Dragons and Dungeons.
All right, so all of my stuff this week is all about fantasy because I realized that since like October, the majority of everything that I've been playing and a lot of the stuff that I've been kind of starting to watch has been fantasy. And I was thinking about this recently because, like, I mean, in terms of video games that I was playing, I played Metaphor, I played the new Dragon Age, and I played a game from the Yeeves that's like YS Saga. All fantasy. I've been like obsessed with that. On like the indie side, I've been playing a bunch of small dungeon crawl games on my Switch, or not my Switch, my Steam Deck. I've been like gung ho on fantasy, and I think it's because it's like a comfort food, and I do think that in like dark times, sometimes fantasy is really helpful.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the time for fantasy right now. It's the time to like escape, but then also engage with a lot of narratives that have political stuff going, like
Yes.
Baldur's Gate. I'm thinking like Baldur's Gate and Dragon Age, which is like Steve has been playing that and thinking about how like it's fantasy, but it's also very relevant. And I feel like it's like horror. It's like even safer, but like even more distant. So it's like that safe place to process and like experience this without having to be like confronted as directly by the horrors of humans.
And a lot of times it's about a ragtag group of individuals who are like the underdogs who
Yeah.
have to stand up and save the world. And they're not special. They're not superheroes for the most part. They're just regular people that took on the mantle because the world's fucked up. And so while it is like a lot of it is good and evil, it's not as moralistic as a lot of that kind of storytelling is. And I don't know, I find it so comforting. And so I've been watching a couple let's plays or like real tabletop type stuff, And I've been wanting to watch this cartoon. I'm really heavy in cartoons right now, FYI. But I've been wanting to watch.
Wow. Who are you, me?
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch the Legend of Vox Machina. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, this sounds familiar.
So it's by Critical Role. Critical Role started
Oh, yes. Okay. That's how I
like
know
a
who
lot
they
of
are.
yeah. So like it was like it started out as a Dungeons and Dragons game that was being played amongst some voice actor friends, and then they decided, well, let's give it a try and see what it'd be like to stream it, and they've since then, since they first started, have amassed like it's huge, and they had
Were they
kickstarted.
like one of the first to do it? I feel like them and the McElroys were like kind of on like they were like the first ones.
I
I
think
could be
so.
talking out of my total ass, guys. I don't listen, like I don't know, but I feel like they were one of the first. Like those two
If
were
they're
like big in that movement.
if they're not the first, they're probably the most famous. I would say at the
Yeah,
very least, it's sort of like how Resident Evil didn't invent survival horror, but it's popularized it and made it ubiquitous with silent with
yeah.
survival horror. And
Silent Hill.
so, so while I don't, I mean, I to me, they're the only ones that I knew about when they first started doing it. So,
Okay, cool.
it could be like I'm with you. I think they might have like started it, but even if they didn't, they are probably the most popular of it. And they a couple years ago kickstarted a animated show that got picked up by Amazon, and they bought more episodes, and now they're up to 3 seasons of it with the fourth season
Oh,
in the works. Yeah.
no shit. I don't think I realized
Yeah.
all that about it. I just knew the name. I didn't really know anything about it, so that's cool. Good for them.
Yeah. So, and the
Isn't
cool
it
thing is
really
that
side thing is isn't it so cool and weird now that nerds are making shit about Dungeons and Dragons and it's getting bought by Amazon? Like I just
uh-huh.
feel like it's so funny. It's just funny how nerd culture
Yeah.
now is like mainstream and cool. I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
love it. It's just very funny how the times
It
they
is.
haven't changed.
Yeah, right. And so like again, they had kickstarted I think 8 episodes, and then when Amazon bought it, they ended up giving them I think 12 or 13. I can't remember which, but so like they paid for more. There's 12, and then they did 2 more seasons, and now there's a fourth season that's coming out. And what I love about it is that it's very queer friendly. All the characters, or at least a lot of them, are queer. And while I'm a little my biggest complaint on that regard is that while they are queer, most of the pairings are straight, which kind of sucks. But um, it's still a lot of it's very comforting to see this ragtag group of queer people, found family, that kind of stuff going on. But it's basically this tells I think the first season tells the one of the first seasons or one of the first campaigns that they did. And what immediately pulled me into it is it's very horror centric. The first season involves a family of vampires that have descended upon a town, and one of the adventuring people has like a history with them. And so after the first 2 episodes, it sort of set the tone, and are kind of like a prequel type thing to get people familiar with the characters and the adventure group. The rest of the season is all focused on horror, and there's some gnarly moments with like there's one really cool battle against some shadow creatures that like will come out of the wall, grab people, and like basically Evil Dead lift them up and tear people apart. Like this is rated M. There's a lot of blood, there's a lot of gore.
Oh, cool. Okay, I was gonna ask like how deep do we go into the? I mean, it's fine. I was just curious, like how not kid friendly do we go?
Oh, this is not kid friendly. This is
Sick.
gory as fuck, and the characters fuck. One of my favorites is
Yeah.
this gnome guy named Scanlan, and he is like a bard, and he sings very sexy songs.
Does he fuck?
He fucks anyone. He's definitely
Oh, sick.
polyamorous, and he has like this like he has like a tunic that's open, and he has like a hairy chest, and he is this small little guy that never takes anything seriously. And when one of his main spells is summoning this purple hand, and so he'll sing Scanlan's hand, and this big hand comes through and punches people. he shoots lightning out of his dick. He's like, "Dick lightning!" And he once in a while will break out
kidding me?
in a ribald song.
This sounds incredible.
It is. It is absolutely incredible.
Dick
so
lightning.
We have. He's literally my favorite. We have, but the rest of them are pretty similar. Like we have a gnome cleric. We have like kind of a ranger. We have that has like her own little bear pet. There's like an assassin type character. There's a druid. So it hits like a lot of these things. And then there's Grog, who is a half giant barbarian, and he is not very smart for the most part, but he is just a delight. And all these characters are great. They're voiced by incredible voice actors. Ashley Johnson.
I was just looking at the roster. I would even like Aisling Francoisi, who was like in The Nightingale, and the late Lance Reddick, R.I.P. forever and ever, amen. Cree Summer, who does literally everything. Like, those are just the guest voices. Like, it's stacked.
Yeah. And Ashley Johnson plays Pike, who is the gnome cleric, and she also is the voice of Ellie from The Last of Us, the game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm texting Steve. I'm like, did you watch that show? Because Terry's telling me about it, and I think you'd really like it. I kind of want to try it.
And Laura Bailey was in The Last of Us Part 2 as Abby, the other main character person. Yeah, and she voices one of the main characters. And what I love about this is Critical Role as a company is owned by the voice actors. So like everything is like equal split. Like they all own creative control over it. They own they get the money for it. The people that were playing the characters in the campaign are voicing characters that in the show. It's a delight. It's a quick, easy watch. It's like they're 20-minute episodes. And there's, I guess, 12 times? So there's 36 of them right now, and the 4th season is in the works right now. But, boy, I really, particularly the first season, I loved the first season, mostly because it was dark and scary and really kind of gnarly with the horror elements of it. But, yeah, it's great. It's great. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds very up my alley. I'm like, as you've been talking, I've just been scrolling through a bunch of stuff about it, because it's, like, very much up my alley. I mean, Steve's alley, so. And look at you watching animated television.
Oh, I'm so like, the thing is, I'm watching that. I just started watching Arcane, finally. I will have more about that later, but I will say the first 3 episodes are.
Yeah, that is perfect. That is what I have heard this.
So I'm big in that. After I'm done with Arcane, I do want to go, you're talking about one of them today, I do want to go back and go through the entire Castlevania stuff. Like I'm very much into this, but I will throw something out there to our listeners. If there are other fantasy, particularly like dark fantasy, I'm very interested in that I should be watching, whether it's movies, TV shows, animated, whatever the case may be, throw that my way, because I am going ham on this fantasy thing, and I just want to continue riding this train.
You need to watch Frieren at Journey's End.
Did you talk about this one on the podcast? It looks familiar.
I did. Okay. I did talk about it on the podcast. I'm obsessed with it, and it's like, what happens when an elf who was in like a great party, she went on this grand quest with a party of 4. And she's the only one left now. And, like, what does it mean to live after that grand quest? But then, like, other things happen. So, and one of the, like, story arcs in this is, like, really fucked up in, like, doppelganger stuff.
Okay.
But it's definitely not as dark, and it's a little bit more contemplative, but there's some really good stuff in it. It's only 22 episodes, and the episodes are 30 minutes. And it's just, like, the most delightful fantasy show, and it's like anime style, but it's not like, and there's not like boobies and upskirt shots. It's like not one of those kinds of animes. Sorry guys, right. Like I love anime. I know what it is. I know what this media is, but it's really good.
Okay, I am writing this one down because I literally am taking.
It's like elf mage. It's like an elf mage takes on a human mage apprentice, and they Yeah. And also, did you watch Delicious in Dungeon?
No, I really want to see that one
You
too.
should
That's
watch
also
that
on my
too, because
list.
that one also has a lot of horror elements. It's like obviously sweet, but like a lot of it is like monsters and cataloging monsters. It is like plays a lot with like the monster expectations of dungeon crawlers, and I really love that. It's like a monster of the week at first, and then it kind of evolves into a bigger narrative, but it's really good. And again, it's another one that has one season, episodes are short, it's really easy to watch really quickly, but it'll scratch that itch for you too. I've talked about that on the
I'm
show too.
Yeah, you did. That one is definitely on was definitely on my list already. But yeah, I love like
Oh, I
fantasy
keep winning
was
with you. I keep like found footage, animation. You came to it honestly on your own. I will not say I forced you, but I'm very glad that you're watching more of it. It's just cool.
yeah. I mean, fantasy has always been like honestly, bef- even before horror, fantasy was sort of. I mean, even to a degree, fantasy was the reason I got into Stephen King was because of a fantasy book
Yeah.
of his. So it's like,
Yeah.
and I haven't been paying attention to fantasy a whole lot recently outside of video games. But like, I don't know, this last year and then the next 4 years, I feel like I might be focusing a lot on fantasy. But speaking of fantasy, I want to hear about the newest Belmont saga. I'm very excited.
It's actually very connected. So, Castlevania, the second season of Castlevania Nocturne came out last Thursday, and Steve and I, of course, binged all 8 episodes in 2 days. Um, Unfortunately, we did not stay up all night and watch it because we have made. I guess we were adults. I don't know, but so this season of Castlevania Nocturne picks up pretty much right after the events of the first season, and this season is following. Oh my god! Oh god! Hold on, I have to get his name right. I get all their names. Yeah, Richter. So it's following
I was
Richter.
gonna say I thought it was Richter.
Yeah, I get Trevor. It's Trevor was in the original one, Richter's in the new one, but they're both
Yeah.
Belmonts, and I get them confused. But anyway, in this season, pretty it's pretty dark season. A lot of these characters are kind of grappling with what happened in the first season, and this group kind of splits up. Looks like Richter and Annette and Alucard go one direction to fight, and Maria stays and goes another direction, and they're still fighting Elizabeth. I'm gonna say Elizabeth Bathory. It's her more like Hungarian name, but I suck. I don't really feel like saying Elizabeth a bunch because I'm gonna forget how to say it. But it's like continuing that journey of defeating Elizabeth Bathory and her horde of vampires, but like definitely way sadder. Just a lot of rage from young people having, and like it's also set again still the background of the French Revolution, so like there's a lot of anger and violence going on in the background. And this season also continues to look at the kind of like, because Annette's character and then another character, they're from Saint Domingue, so they're like they were slaves, and so they're doing more really interesting stuff, like I talked about, I think, with the last season, and incorporating like freed slave narratives and voodoo gods, and like not necessarily Christian stuff as much, but like in a really cool, interesting way. And they continue doing that with Annette's character, and I really liked it. It's just like it's definitely a lot of really good action sequences, but I just feel like this one was like much more much darker and more like sad than previous seasons. There's not as much humor, which I don't dislike. I still really liked it. It just feels like a much more serious season, which I think fits. Nocturne, I think there still is like a little bit of humor, but Nocturne, yeah, I really liked it. It was good. Once again, another fucking banger of a Castlevania season. So good.
That makes me so happy. I'm very excited to dig, because I watched the first season of the first show, and that's all I saw. And I need this back, so I'm very excited to dig back into it.
They're just so good, and all the vampires are fucking gross, and there's just so much violence and fighting and cool shit. And also, that first season is perfect, though. I will say that first season of Castlevania is a perfect season of television. But like, it's very consistently good too. Like,
Yeah,
all of the stories are really good, and I love that the team behind these shows are just like really into making not just like a video game show, but like a good vampire show.
that's so cool.
So
I'm excited.
yes, you should. Yeah, those are easy to watch, quick. Especially the first couple seasons are only like 4 episodes. Because they were like, I don't know if anyone's gonna watch this.
It was so short. Yeah.
Well, I don't, because
Yeah.
I don't think they thought anyone was gonna watch it, and now. What I also love about it is they don't try to drag it on. Like, they ended Castlevania in 3 seasons and didn't try to like drag it. Is it 3 or 4?
4 seasons.
Oops. They didn't drag it out, which I love. And like, I don't know if they're gonna do another season of Nocturne. They probably could. So we'll see. But I like that they know to not try to stretch it more than it has to. It also helps that there are so many Castlevania games. They can easily move in time and like place things in different time periods quite easily. So, but yeah, Castlevania Nocturne, highly recommend. It's on Netflix. 8 episodes. They're like 30-ish minutes each, so it's very, very easy to watch it very quickly.
Heck yeah. I love so one of the executive producers on Nocturne is Adi Shankar, who was the showrunner of the first Castlevania, but like he's doing a whole lot of animation based on video games, because there's Castlevania, there's the Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix that I talked about, that it's like very heavily focused on video games, and he's also working on a Devil May Cry one, on an Assassin's Creed one, on a Hyper Light Drifter one. Like, this is a guy that is doing good job adapting video games as animation, and I'm very happy for that.
It's absolutely incredible. I'm like very happy about this, and I'm also just like hoping they keep doing it. And
Show connection, Adi Shankar is, I believe, the reason that Eric Power and Andreas got together.
Well, thanks, Adi Shankar. It's not similar, but still similar. We're going back to fantasy, but I think I know what it is. But this is drag queens and dungeons this time.
I was like trying to think of some creative name for it, and so I was like, I'm just gonna reverse what the show is called. So the show is called Dungeons and Drag Queens. It is part of the Dimension 20 series on Dropout. Dropout used to be, I think, called Humor.
I love Dropout! Sorry, I love Dropout so much. Dropout is so fucking good. All of their shit is just so fucking good. Sorry, I love
they are. It is really good. And so I started watching again because I'm like, I need fantasy. I need it in my eyes. I've been meaning to try to watch like a let's play tabletop game type stuff like Critical Role, but Critical Role is daunting because there's like so many different campaigns that have been running since I think 2015, and I was like, I don't even want to dip my toe into that yet. But Dungeons and Drag Queens stars some of my favorites in the drag world, or the RuPaul Drag Race drag world, with Monet Exchange, Alaska Thunderfuck, Bob the Drag Queen, and Jujubee. And have you watched this at all?
I've watched clips of it like on TikTok. I know that it's like, but I have not committed to watching the whole thing. I have a hard time with the like tabletop podcasts and videos because I get distracted and don't pay attention, and then I miss. It's just like a whole thing for me. Whatever. But I've watched clips, and it make me laugh because watching drag queens like get into, because the whole thing is like they're learning about, a lot of them are they all learning about D&D from the beginning, and like this is them learning how to do it and like getting into it, right?
I think so. Like most Jujubee in particular is like that friend that shows up.
She's
so
like
the
in
friend.
Clips. She's like, huh? But like she's trying her best.
No, she is like the friend that shows up to board game night and is like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm happy to be here. And she just is so funny, just like the way she like either hangs on the dungeon master what's his name, Brennan Lee Mulligan, who also is connected to Critical Role as well. But like it's so
The
funny
way
to watch
that you
her
just
kind of like
casually said it, as if that man has not like launched waves of thirst on the internet for being like nerd daddy. Jesus, one of my friends, every time I say his name, he goes, "I want to climb him like a tree." So
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
every
I did
single
not know
one of
that.
every single one of my friends wants to bang that guy.
He's not really my type, but I
Well,
get it.
It's like a weird. Well, my friend James aside, it's like a woman like daddy vibe. I don't know, but like not like in like different kinds of daddy thing. You know, it's a lot. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
We don't have time to unpack all of the issues that white women have with their fathers.
That's something that white women and a lot of gay men have in common, though.
Between us and God. And our dads, I guess. Anyway, yes. Because the Brennan Lee Mulligan of it all is just very funny. Like, you're just like, yeah, Brennan Lee Mulligan. I'm like, that is the first time I've ever heard anyone say his name without being like, Brennan Lee Mulligan.
I had no idea. that he is like thirsted after. I love it, but I had no idea. He's a good DM.
He's a very, very good DM who graduated from high school when he was like 16 and like is like a genius. He's like a literal genius.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like he dresses up in a kind of drag a little bit for this. It's so like it's just I don't know. It's very. I think what I really liked about it is that the first season is only 4 episodes. Now, granted, those 4 episodes can be anywhere from 2 to 3 hours long. However, it's a lot different than trying to sit down again and watch a Critical Role one where it's like they have hundreds of episodes in an entire campaign.
Like you're not having to like remember characters from like 20 episodes ago. You're like, oh, this is a good. That's smart to start it out easy though, especially for them who are like learning how to play and not making them play like a long ass campaign. That is really smart.
And he does a really good job of when they created the characters to sort of have everyone have like something that ends up tying to the main story as well. And so there's some like nice interplay between the characters as like they start to reveal their history and how they're connected to the story that's going on. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm only on, I think, episode 2 right now of 4. And again, these are a time commitment for an episode. But I will say that sometimes I have the same problem as you, which is why I've resisted sitting down and watching, because sometimes I will get distracted. But it doesn't really matter. And that's what I like about it. Like it's something I can have on, I can pay attention to. And then if I get distracted on my phone for a little bit and come back, I don't feel like missing a whole lot, and I can still follow along with what's happening. So it's a kind of a great to have in the background while maybe you might be playing a game or just scrolling through Twitter or something.
That's good to know. Okay, that actually might give me the push to try it, just because a lot of the time, like, I tried the Adventure Zone, like the McElroy brother one.
Oh.
And I love them, like, and I like it, but, like, I don't listen to it and pay attention, so then, like, their stuff is so narrative driven and there's like callbacks and shit, and I just don't think I can engage with it on the level it needs to be engaged with for me to understand what is going on. Like I don't have a long commute, so I'm not listening to it on a commute, and if I listen to it while I work, I will lock in and forget what I'm listening to.
Yeah. And I think it does help because again, all the drag queens are in drag, and so it's kind of fun to watch them, and they're very quirky, and I love the way they interact with the material. And Jujubee is like literally my favorite. I love
it. They got Alaska Thunderfuck to do it. It's just like that that quad is just iconic.
It is.
And Jujubee, I love her. She's just like, what? I'm just happy to be here.
Basically.
And hey,
and it's
a great attitude to have for D&D, because that shit's confusing.
It is. It can be, absolutely. As someone that grew up playing it, it can be. It's not exactly the easiest to get into sometimes.
it's just cool that they like have that show and be like, look, see, anyone can play, and also just being like, look, drag queens are just chilling, like we're just playing nerd shit.
Yeah,
it's neat.
Drag queens are nerds too. Gay people are nerds too.
What?
I love it.
Yeah.
I know, right? But yeah, so that's Dungeons and Drag Queens. It's part of Dropout, which is a paid for app. It's also on like TVs, like it's a TV app too. But they have some really good stuff on there that I've been kind of digging into. But
Dungeons and Drag Queens.
No, that was one of the things that like got me to sit down and get it.
Watch Gastronauts. Jordan Myrick is the funniest person on this fucking planet. I love her. I've been following her forever. So when she got a show on Dropout, Steve can attest to this. I almost cried. I was so like, my favorite things have come together. Lesbian food writer and having her own comedy food show on my favorite millennial gay weird streaming app. It's great. Dirty Laundry is also very good. They're all great. I watched Steve and I
just watched Game Changer.
Oh, Game Changer is iconic. That is the one that we started with. That is fun. Dirty Laundry is a great one. Gastronauts is a great one.
I'm very excited to watch Gastronauts. That was one of the reasons why I finally broke down and signed up for Dropout, was I wanted to watch Gastronauts. So I'm excited to watch that too. But yeah, Dungeons and Drag Queens. It's great for a Let's Play type of thing. It's not as much of a time investment as some of the other ones because it is only 4 episodes. Season 2 just started this month, which continues the story. So by the time of this is out, there might be like a couple more ones. What's that?
I was trying to remember like how many if they had done more than one.
Yeah, the second season just started airing. I want to say the very beginning of this month.
And also, just one more shout out. I'm sorry to drop out in general, and I think like the Dungeons and Drag Queens is indicative of that. Incredibly diverse. There is not just a bunch of white people hosting. A lot of it's incredibly like queer, people of color, women of color, non-binary people, trans people. It's like a very incredible like group of individuals that represent like a ton of different worldviews. So it's not just like another group of white people making sketch comedy. I swear to you, it's much better than that.
No, it is. But even the white people they have on it are really good. Like Josh Rubin is on it. I was surprised to see him
Josh
in
Rubin
episodes
is in that quite a bit of Game Changer. He's in a lot of it. He's like a friend of the show because they all were. I think they were all at college humor. They were all at college humor together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. But yeah, Dungeons and Drag Queens. Go watch it. Hot Samurai Revenge.
So this is another animated show on Netflix that you should watch, but it's not fantasy, so it's not going to scratch the same itch. But I finally have started watching Blue Eye Samurai, which came out on Netflix, I believe, in 2023, and it was just like a show I wanted to watch, but like didn't know anything about it. And if I had known what this was before I started, like before now, I would have watched it earlier. But incredible animated show on Netflix about a sword master traveling to get revenge, but this sword master is a woman, and she is a half white, half Asian woman, and so she has blue eyes. And this is the Edo period of Japan, and if you are mixed, you are impure and a freak. So she walks around hiding her blue eyes and hiding her gender, and is seeking revenge against her basically biological father who raped her mom.
Oh, jeez.
You know, a Mary Beth McAndrews kind of show, baby. A Mary Beth McAndrews original. But I haven't gotten far enough to like fully know the context. So we're 2 episodes in, and I think there are 8 episodes. So we have not watched all of it. So I don't have full context for what has happened to the main character, Mizu, who is the one who is hiding her gender, hiding her eyes.
Played by Maya Erskine.
Yeah. Brenda Song is also in it. Brenda Song. George Takei voices... Yeah, Kenneth Branagh voices Mizu's dad.
Oh,
Masioka. Yeah,
Mazioka.
Masioka is okay.
Heroes.
He plays an incredible character whose name is Ringo, and Ringo doesn't have hands, and he makes really good soba, and he wants to be a samurai, and he's one of those characters that's like, oh, he's annoying, but becomes kind of like the friendly sidekick, so he gets to kind of like lean into that comedic vibe a little bit as like the sidekick character, but it's great seeing him and hearing him in something, but the show's it's just fucking incredible. Gorgeous, nasty samurai fights, like very much something again I would love, and it's about revenge and gender expectations, and it was created by Amber Nozumi and Michael Green. They're married, so they created it together, and I once again can't believe it took me this long to watch it, but there's just so much goddamn TV and really good animated TV. But yeah, absolutely recommend this if you haven't checked out Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. Again, I haven't finished it yet, but it's just like, it's so good. So hopefully they don't fumble the ending, but I don't think they will. The writing is really, really awesome. So absolutely check that one out.
Heck yeah. Cool.
And then we're gonna just like completely top us off with something completely fucking different from anything we've talked about tonight. We ask you to please take a defwink with us, and please defwink responsibly.
So we finally are finishing our 30 Rock journey with another Queen of Jordan episode. I believe this is Queen of Jordan to the Mystery of the Phantom Pooper. Is that
it? Sure is.
It's called?
That is exactly what it's called. It's exactly what it's called. This is the second episode that's formatted like a Bravo reality television show, and I think this is my favorite episode that we've watched. I could not I was quoting it to Terry before I literally got onto Riverside and just started yelling quotes at him. I didn't even say hi or like how are you.
It's
I
true.
was just like, and I was like, I should stop talking about that. I couldn't stop talking about it. It's this very funny. It's very funny.
No, I think that this honestly is probably my favorite episode of the show, because the jokes per minute, like 30 Rock is known for its like jokes per minute, but like this is just a bunch of like catty gay lines that are just spoken and are just so fucking hilarious. There's one part where one of the characters is yelling at Titus, who's playing DeFuan, and she's like, why don't you control your dog? And DeFuan in Titus's perfect voice, he controls me. Or like Angie, where she's a singer-song reader, which I love. Not a songwriter, a song reader. And she is a catchphrase coiner, and she's like, I'll take that with cheese. Well, they don't all work.
Cheek is the name of her fashion line.
Mm-hmm.
Not chic.
Yep.
Cheek.
But it's pronounced chic. Great.
I was particularly dying when I think it was when it's later on in the episode, but it's when Titus is talking about drama with Liz Lemon, and he talks about how like I went to her like crazy weird themed ball of like what the fuck does he call it? I have to find it because it's like literally the most specific like fundraising ball, and it's so funny because in Real Housewives, like there's an entire thing in Real Housewives. They're always having galas for weird things, and my favorite is in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. One of the housewives worked with created an organization called Toothless, or Homeless Not Toothless, to give people experiencing homelessness dental work, and they called it Homeless Not Toothless, and it was real on television, like for real, and none of the women understood what she was talking about. They could get the name right. And of course I bought my friend a onesie that said Toothless Not Homeless for their newborn because it's the funniest thing ever. So, like, when they're just, like, these little moments in this, like, they just so get the DNA of these stupid fucking shows that I love so much and how, like, dumb these people are, and just, like, capture it in a way, especially through making Liz have a fight with the baby. Like, there's, like, a beef, and it's between Liz and is it Virginia?
Yeah, Virginia. And it's all because she says that she's like, you were so fat and cute, I just want to eat you up. And that becomes the impetus for their beef.
Titus is like, you cannot say to any black woman, including a baby, anything about her fat thighs. We have come too far. And then the baby starts saying things like, Liz is so shady. And there is, okay, this is the episode where my favorite scene I've ever seen of any show, where Jenna comes into a nail salon, where like, first of all, baby Virginia is like a toddler, like 2, is sitting at a nail salon getting her nails done. And, like, the person, it's obviously a skit, but the person doing her nails is just doing them like this is a normal woman, like, not a toddler, which is so fucking funny. Like, it's just, like, no, it's literally playing on my fucking my fucking computer screen right now, and I'm gonna shit my pants. It's so fucking funny. Jenna walks in and just, like, kneels next to her and is like, I agree with you about Liz. As if the baby, like, it's so funny, and it's like, the baby just goes, Liz is shady. And I'm like, this is, like, it's so basic. I know that this is not, like, comedy genius. But when I tell you, I could not stop dying when all of a sudden Jenna goes, are you an actor? Let's do a road movie together where we're just sluts. To this little toddler in, like, a hot pink outfit at a nail salon. And it is, like, the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and it is also the funniest thing I've ever seen. And this whole episode is that. And, like, yeah, there's, like, a plot with, like, Jack and his, like, Avery's mom and him hooking up, and, like, whatever. Fine. I'm more invested in just, like, the drama of the
Same. Same.
Like, I get it needs some of the, like, I get we need that, but I am more involved in everything else going on here. Hannibal
I
Buress
always
shows
forget
up with
that
an aluminum hat. Just, like, let him be Hannibal Buress, which is so fucking funny because Hannibal Buress is not, like, NBC comedy material by any stretch of the imagination. So when he just stumbled on looking stoned as shit and just, like, mumbling his, like, amazing comedy, I was like, man, this is the best thing I've ever seen. They let Hannibal Buress just, like, be a fucking freak.
So what's funny about him is he shows up in, like, a scene multiple times throughout the show. Like, whatever they cut to, he plays an unhoused guy on the show, and, like, he only is in, like, a couple episodes, but he is always, I think, he was even in that the TGS Hates Women one. He's the unhoused person that's like, kiss.
That's right. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he shows up once in a while, but this is, like, his time to shine, and I just love the random things he says, like, she loved pee. Talking about Avery.
I was fucking... Also, because she was nasty. She loved pee. Like, they just let him say it. And it just makes me so happy that they let Hannibal Buress just say the most unhinged... Like, and it's not even that unhinged, but just, like, it's so, like, stark next to everything else in 30 Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it just warmed my heart. Also, the confessional setting, they didn't have that, right? Last time they didn't have the confessional with, like, the flowers.
They did a little bit.
So they do it
I don't think the same. But
they do it up here,
more.
and I love it because, again, like, that is such a big thing in those shows, is, like, the weird elaborate backgrounds, and I just love that they did that. And then it was that's how they found out who the mystery of the Phantom Pooper was or whatever. But yeah. I love television.
I also, two of my favorite lines in this, one is Jack at the beginning, where he talks about how he wants Bravo to treat this with the same respect that they treat DeFuan's boyfriend's dog or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he's like, you guys at Bravo, excuse me, gays at Bravo. And that line just kills me. And then it's followed up later when Jenna's whole goal is to like get herself into all the drama that's happening among and be like shown. And then at one point when Liz is like, you literally have cameras on you, and she like turns around and there's all these cameras on her, and she's like, I'm too good for this crap. Blur my face. Blur it more. More. Now disguise my voice. Thank you, gays. I just...
It's just like... Oh, God. It's just so funny. It's just like, again, every line. Every line. Like, I'd offer you a drink, but I can only offer you his... Like, DeWick's wine. Like, please... God, what's his name again? I totally just...
DeFwan.
DeFwan's wine. And it's... please,
DeFwine.
DeFwan.
Please defwink responsibly. Or one of my favorite lines that is so like out of nowhere, but it's just like a random thing. Grizz, which is one of Tracy's bodyguards, is sitting there just reading Game of Thrones, and he's like, "Oh my God, Ned Stark's dead!" Like out of nowhere. It's just like a random line in the middle of everything, and it kills me.
What? I know. Oh man. Yeah, it's a really good episode. This is my favorite. It had me cackling. Please defwink responsibly. I texted Terry immediately. I was like, this is ridiculous. But again, it feels like a housewife show, so it's very funny, and I love it.
I'll tell you, I would have loved a spin-off of 30 Rock that was Queen of Jordan. I would have loved it.
I would have loved it. I've got to pick up Yakov Smirnov at the airport. Anywho. Yes, what a good way to end with this episode. It was very good. It made me smile quite a bit, so hooray.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that it like, because like as someone that has not watched those shows, I still think it's incredibly funny. And like I said, this last one is probably my favorite. But I was like, I'm curious what it's like. I was curious what it was going to be like for someone that has watched all of those type of shows, if they were like nailing it. Because to me, it seemed like they were really like finger on the pulse of it. So I was glad to hear that I was right with that. So we need to figure out what we're going to do next for our little tech journey. But if you guys have any suggestions, throw it out, please.
Yeah, please do. I haven't thought about it, actually.
One thing that I thought would be kind of fun is if we did a, we both have backlogs of movies that we've been meaning to watch. You even started one on Letterboxd. Because you had started, didn't you, last year?
I did.
So I was thinking that might be something kind of fun. No.
The intention was there.
Absolutely.
It's still there. That's actually not a bad idea, because I feel like that might be one of the only ways to get me to watch this shit in my backlog.
Same.
Yeah, do I have...
So that might be kind of fun. But, yeah.
Listeners, if you have any... see my list.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, God. Oh, you can see it. Oh, no.
But hit us up if you have other suggestions as well, listeners. But, oh gosh, Mary Beth, who are we chatting with on Monday?
So on Monday, what? Oh, sorry. Never mind. Looking at Letterboxd like a crazy person. So on Monday, we're super excited because we have Drew Hancock on the show. He is the writer and director of the Zach Cregger-produced movie Companion, and he brought with him The Shining. And listeners, it's a doozy. It's a doozy. I'm not gonna spoil it, but you have to listen to it. A lot of changes, a lot of revelations, a lot of growth.
Yeah. This was a surprise for me.
Surprise for us all. Listeners, I forgot. Listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Have you watched... Tell Terry fantasy things that he should be watching. Let us know what we should be covering next in a Little Cut series. And, let us know what we should be watching ourselves. If we missed anything. I'm catching up with what Terry has talked about on the show with movies, and I'm pretty much aligned on most of that, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. I did not like Baby Girl. We'll talk about that off the pod, though. Do you have any suggestions, though, everyone, for things that we should be watching? You can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out directly to us on social media. I am currently on Twitter sometimes still, and Instagram at mb.mcgan, or at, god damn it. I am currently sometimes on Twitter, mostly on Blue Sky-ish, at mbmcandrews, and then I am on Instagram at mb.mcandrews.
And I'm a Gaily Dreadful everywhere, but mostly on Blue Sky.
Of course, don't forget to follow the podcast, mostly on Blue Sky at Scar Podcast.
And I meant to do this at the top of the show, but if I had to delete and re-upload our 2024 episode, because even though I had changed the audio, it still was not flowing with the correct update to Spotify and a couple other places. It was updated correctly on Apple, but a lot of other places, it still was playing the 1 minute episode. So I had to delete it and start over and add a whole new one. So if you were like, where is this? Is it still out there? Please go check your casters again. And if it's still not out there, can you please let us know? Because I tried checking all the ones that people had commented on, and it looked like the new episode had taken. So if there's still some issues with that, please let us know. And while you're out there checking to see if this episode is out, please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. It's been a minute, so we would love a review.
Please. Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please stay safe out there. Please stay sane out there. Most importantly, stay creepy.
And don't forget to rent or buy Bystanders. And until next time.